Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today I will be running through all of the features of Alpha 3.17.2. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Very much appreciate your support, and if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. So with Alpha 3.17.2 on the horizon, I thought it would be a good time to check in and just highlight the features that this build currently contains. Alpha 3.17.2 is intended as kind of an interim patch to bridge the gap between Alpha 3.17 and 3.18, as the 3.18 patch contains some very important core tech that will completely change the way that items are tracked and persist. So CIG really want to ensure that for those of us who are playing the current live alpha, we are not left empty-handed while they tackle this behemoth of a patch, as they expect it to take a few months until 3.18 is ready for the live servers. Now, when CIG said that Alpha 3.17.2 will be a content-rich patch, they were not joking. There appears to already be a ton of very exciting and important features, not to mention other smaller additions that we will get to soon, and this is only what we know about so far. There is still plenty of time for more features to make it in, and of course quality of life updates and bug fixes as well. So without further ado, let us take a look. So let me get the least exciting feature of 3.17.2 out of the way, in my opinion anyway, the additional Stanton-Lagrange points. Not really much to say here, as they are just additional space stations populated around ArcCorp and Microtech to get the localized infrastructure on par with places like Hurston and Crusader. Useful, yes, but not something that I'm overly fussed about. Now, something that I am fussed about is the amount of new and updated missions coming with this build, starting with an expansion to the current delivery mission types, taking the basic box delivery missions and adapting them to allow for illegal box delivery missions. So for all of you who don't mind doing a little bit of smuggling work, you can kinda do so, earning a little extra compared to the legal box delivery missions due to the increased risk. Now, these illegal missions will be run through the Red Wind services, allowing players to build up reputation with this company, starting with fairly legal box delivery missions and eventually opening up to more dodgy missions. And by fairly legal, I'm assuming that they mean more like moving contraband from one location to another, where it's more likely going to result in a fine rather than a prison sentence. Now, as mentioned, the risks do increase with these missions, as they may require you to visit more nefarious locations like drug labs or stash areas, places that are not protected by armistice zones, so you will need to keep your wits about you as you travel around. Another big risk is that you will likely be getting interdicted a bit more, and if you get scanned and they find drugs on board, then you will either have to run or fight your way out. Now, of course, these risks will warrant greater rewards to incentivize players to pursue this path. How much that will be compared to the basic legal delivery missions, we are yet to find out. Now, as much as it may seem more of a simple reskin to the current box missions with extra varying factors like risk and profit, it's still a very necessary addition that should be the start of really expanding on the shadier side of the lore, providing more content for players who want more action and risk to make extra cash. And personally, I'm quite interested in checking them out and just seeing if they do feel like the starting point of smuggler gameplay, finding ways to evade security checkpoints and get that delivery done. Now, another mission update planned for 3.17.2 are improvements to the current combat service beacons. Now, a service beacon is a method for players or NPCs to request assistance for what they need, in this case, combat support. So basically, players and NPCs creating missions for other players. Something that CIG don't like about the current service beacons is that the ships that you are pitted against are all very much the same, so you end up fighting the same ships over and over again. Plus, once you accept a service beacon, it really doesn't explain what it will involve or what you're getting yourselves into, with the only indicator of how difficult the mission is likely going to be being the payment amount. Now, for 3.17.2, they are adding 10 levels of difficulty for service beacons, allowing players to choose what beacons suit their ability, and also basing this on your level of reputation. Now, difficulty 1 could involve saving a small undamaged ship from, say, an Aurora attacking them, ranking up to higher or rarer missions, and once you get to difficulty 10, the mission could involve protecting a very damaged ship getting attacked by a small group of NPCs, or even an Idris. So really increasing the damage, increasing the danger, but increasing that reward and giving necessary information that could allow you to work together with other players, putting a team together to tackle the harder difficulty levels. Now, I love that they are getting more and more missions hooked into this reputation system, and even though the rep system is still very basic at this moment, it still provides a slight sense of progression and encouragement to pursue a mission path, to seek those better rewards. Now, for these beacons, they have certainly been in need of a lot of love, so I'm very happy that they are becoming clearer, more accessible, with better explanations on what to expect, and hopefully opening them up as another option for not just new backers, giving them a ladder to climb and to practice with, but also veteran players, giving more of a sense of control in how they tackle each mission depending on what to expect. So a great new addition for 3.17.2 that I look forward to exploring. Now, the Siege of Orison is also a new mission coming to 3.17.2, which sees the Ninetales gang, who we learnt about during a recent Inside Star Citizen, taking over some of the floating platforms above Crusader, with players tasked to go in and take them out. The Ninetales are supposed to be a pretty organised and skilled group, quite capable and trained, so it does sound like it's going to be quite a challenge, requiring players to work together to remove them from the platforms. Now, this event is the latest of the dynamic events to follow on from Xeno Threat, Jumptown version 2 and the previous Ninetales lockdown. I personally get the feeling that this Ninetales lockdown is the original lockdown that CIG wanted, but were maybe unable to do due to various tech constraints or AI abilities. But what I really like about this particular event is that it is kind of both FPS and flight, allowing players to make their own way to the platforms in their own ships, maybe dropping off other players, or of course you can take the designated shuttle. I do believe that the goal of this mission is not just to kill all the Ninetales gang members, but primarily to shut down the AA missile turrets that have been reprogrammed by the gang to attack friendly forces. So if you do approach in your own ship, do so with caution and make sure you've got those flares ready to go. Now, I'm not sure how long this event will go on for, or whether it will be a continuously rotating event to take part in, or whether there are certain elements to be reached before it is even triggered, but of course once it is done, it's done. So as much as it's going to be a fun addition for 3.17.2 for its duration, once it's over, it will no longer be applicable to the patch. So I do hope that it is fun, and if you do take part in it, I hope you enjoy it. Now on to the more significant features for 3.17.2, which actually do also contain more missions. Firstly, we have the Derelict Reclaimer settlements, which I have spoken about a lot over the last few weeks or months, and these I am extremely hyped for. An actual NPC settlement where players can visit and, as CIG put it, get traditional missions or loot from. Now, I won't go too much into it, as I say, I have already spoken about this a lot, but this is a proof of concept for settlements of all kinds to expand from. And as we heard recently, they already have 3 missions good to go with them, with more to follow now that they have the planetary navigation mesh implemented. Again though, what these missions will involve, I have no idea, but I am eagerly awaiting to find out. The planetary nav mesh is the next feature I will briefly speak about coming to 3.17.2, as again, I have spoken about this quite a lot recently, and I bet you're all pretty much bored of hearing about it, but for me personally, this is the biggest and most significant feature for 3.17.2, as it finally allows NPCs to freely wander around on a planet's surface. Now, bear in mind that for 3.17.2, it will only be applicable to the Derelict Reclaimer settlement while they test it, tweak it, and tune it, but the significance of this tech is not to be dismissed, as it is a major step to getting the verse feeling populated. Having NPCs living planetside, even in small derelict ship settlements like this, providing missions for players is going to be a big taster of what is to come when we have more derelict ship settlements, as well as towns, villages, derelict outposts, and more dotted around all the various planets and moons, creating endless locations for missions. So I am very overjoyed that the nav mesh is now in-game, and it can only expand from here. So the final new addition as it stands right now, I do still expect more features to come to 3.17.2, but the last one is called Derelict Reclaimer Space Missions. So again, even more missions. And these in particular, as CIG put it, will be a variety, so hopefully more than 1, 2, maybe even more than 3, handcrafted, narratively driven unique missions. Exactly what these will involve is yet to be known, but I think using the Reclaimer derelict ship is going to be the perfect setting for some pretty ominous missions, and I look forward to seeing what handcrafted, narratively driven missions from CIG in 2022 look like. Of course, the downside of handcrafted missions are their replayability, but having a large combination of handcrafted and more of these dynamically generated, reputation-orientated missions in this patch, I feel there should be enough to keep us going for a while. And if I was to find myself bored of 3.17.2, hopefully around that time, I will have the option to just hop into 3.18 on the PTU. But for all the features listed here, we should be seeing them highlighted on upcoming Inside Star Citizens this quarter as they get closer to releasing this patch. Talking of which, I do expect an Evocati NDA PTU patch to happen any day this week, or maybe next, hopefully this week, with a live release at the end of June. So 3.17.2 really is a content-rich patch that is somewhat, I feel, overshadowed by the 3.18 build, and doesn't seem to be getting as much hype as I personally think it deserves. I am honestly ecstatic to be getting the Navmesh, derelict reclaimers, the settlements, and many more missions, which compared to previous patches that we have had, is quite a lot more in comparison. And here's hoping that there are more features and vehicles yet to be revealed. There are actually a couple of unannounced vehicles finishing work in June, but if this is just what 3.17.2 looks like, then I have more than enough to be getting on with. And all of these features are currently committed as well, so none of them should really slip at this stage. Talking of work finishing in June, there are quite a lot of features that complete work according to the progress tracker. Not that any of these are likely going to come in 3.17.2, as they still may require work from other teams, or in some circumstances be implemented and balanced in Squadron 42 first before making their way into the PU. But there are some quite important features whose work completes this month, and these include the AR and map marker system rework, dedicated game server crash recovery, the Gen 12 renderer, lockable containers, long-term persistence enhancements, physical damage and breakability, rope simulation physics, subsumption editor integration, theaters of war miscellaneous support, as I say, a couple of unannounced vehicles, and the lens and visor rework, plus many more. So again, not saying that any of these features will be coming in 3.17.2, but there is a chance some of them would. But that is the end of the video. I do hope that it has shed some light onto what to expect from 3.17.2, which is set to release at the end of this month. But with that said, do come and hang out over at twitch.tv/supermacbrother. You are all more than welcome. We will be playing some more 3.17.1 and talking about 3.17.2 and 3.18. Hit that thumbs up if you don't mind, it does do the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, huge thank you to my patrons and channel members, thank you guys for the support, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.